Welcome to the Angelscapes podcast, where you're encouraged to uncover and develop a direct connection with your soul's power, wisdom, and spiritual intuition that is ready to blossom. We'll explore new ideas, compelling tips, and real steps to help you learn simple spiritual practices. We're a safe place to learn more about accessing your soul's power with education and spiritual wholeness that could bring more clarity to your life. Now here's your host, a practicing medium, Akashic Records practitioner, spirit artist, coach, and mentor, Dr. Reverend Nancy Smith.
Have you experienced a dark night of the soul? And what spiritual tools can you or do you know how to use when you must reset your life? Hello, this is Angelscapes, and I'm your host, Nancy Smith. I'd like to welcome you to this episode where I'm going to talk about a soul crisis and what a soul redirect is. And many times things flip over in your life or don't make sense, or you feel this void coming on, and you may feel like you've done something wrong when your life goes end up. What really is going on is your soul is redirecting to a deeper path. So we're going to talk about how to learn what to live in how to live in this situation, in this kind of experience, how to step into a state of grace and surrender to the grace that your soul is presenting to you. So what is a soul crisis? And a soul crisis is when life gets turned upside down and it's not working anymore. Those are the times that you must reset your life, where your normal is gone. And as much as you try to recreate the normal, there has to be a new stepping forward. And you must take a look at what you have in your life, what your tools are, what's actually survived in your life, what's still standing, and then move forward with that. The more that you try to create what you used to have, the more pain and the more void there is within you. So a soul crisis is when you must move forward with what you have left, leaving everything behind. It's kind of like Sodom and Gomorrah life. Don't look back. Your soul is asking you to move forward in these moments. And examples of this kind of experience can be like a divorce or health issues where your body and your mind are just not what they used to be, and you must learn how to manage yourself in a different way. And many things have left your life because of your health. A loss of a career can be a dark night of the soul, where you were used to being very productive, or you loved what you were doing, and it was something that you identified with, and then the career goes. Maybe for so many reasons, a career can leave. Grief in itself can set in from any one of these. And a death in your life, a loss of a loved one, a friend, a relative, a parent, a spouse, can bring you into deep grief, where you clearly, what you relied on or what you loved is no longer there. And again, the feeling and the sense of it is you feel a void within you. And you have a sense of something's not right. And I don't know if something is ever going to be right again. And these things happen to all of us. And they can happen many times throughout our lives as we step into new experiences, as maybe you held on to something that wasn't. Everything comes to an end, and if you hold on to something that you think is going to last forever and then it doesn't, it's such a disappointment. And sometimes things just last forever and ever. A job or a career can last forever and ever, but all of a sudden, not all of a sudden, but over a course of time, you've overstayed your welcome in it, or it's over with, but you're not willing to change. And so sometimes within yourself, you could create this sense of, I'm not happy with this. I can't relate to what I'm doing anymore. The value in it, the joy in it is gone. And this is also your emotions telling you that we're done with this. Our soul is done with this. Our spirit is done with it. Our body's done with it. But your mind can't quite let it go. And that can also create a crisis in your life. A crisis maybe could step into depression or sadness. And these are crises that are actually soul appointments. And these appointments are reminders to get back onto your soul's path. And oftentimes when we really dive deep into our lives, we forget to listen to our soul. We forget to even listen to the spirit or the essence of who we are. We forget who we are. And our soul wants to bring us back on track. And that often is not an easy thing to do if we're really entrenched in the life that we're living and the belief systems that we have. So those belief systems are no longer supporting you. They're no longer talking to your spirit, and your soul is not getting the nurturing and the growth that it's been looking for since since you were born. Your soul has a plan for you. So the grief and disappointment can talk to you louder than even your spirit or your soul could talk to you. And you find that you must dig deeper within yourself to find even little small nuggets of joy or small nuggets of understanding. And your soul is calling you to dig deeper. And there's a big ego fight. There's a big war going on. And when that happens, and when things just flip over and think, I can't find another thing under any of these rocks, that's when your soul has the answer. Your soul always knows what to do. When we open up to our soul, we can find strength within your soul when you don't have strength within yourself. And your soul opens the doors and the windows when everything else around you is closing. And that's what I mean by a state of grace. That takes time to begin to step into a place of surrender where you could hear your soul's voice, your soul's language talking to you, because it takes time, it takes patience, it takes becoming quiet within yourself. And sometimes when we're going through these crises, it takes a while before we can be quiet within ourselves and stop the roar of the disappointment, the pain, the loss, the anger. And just the idea of just sitting quietly and saying, so what is this? Where's the spiritual answer to this? Because we feel like spirit is punishing us. We could have a tremendous amount of emotions that aren't necessarily telling us the truth, but they're just telling us something is wrong. So emotions, unhappy feelings and reactions, unrequited desires are all messages from yourself saying, we're not on the right track. What we were expecting, what we were hoping for isn't coming true. And oh boy, this is not good. On the other hand, within those emotions, if we can calmly settle them down and let them open up, there are answers within them, not the reactions, but the energy and motion. What are the nuggets inside your emotions when you can quietly look and observe yourself? What are the emotions telling us that will lead us back to our spirit, lead us back to our soul? They are telling you where you are in your life. These emotions are telling you where you are in your life and who you are in your life. And sometimes they're not telling you the truth about yourself. Sometimes you must observe and look at what you are not before you get to what you are. Sometimes the emotions don't give you the reactions, the emotions, and the holding on to old thoughts don't give you the wisdom that you need to go forward from your experience. And sometimes those feelings have to be set aside a little bit, not to be squashed, but they need to be set aside. My expectations of such and such didn't happen, so now I'm very angry. Well, I get it, you're angry, but maybe the anger is misleading you away from the path where you need to take. Again, emotions aren't who you are, they are messengers for something deep within you that is important for you to hear. And as you meditate with your soul, and as you become neutral to your emotions and begin to listen to the wisdom can crack open the feelings that you're having and begin to reveal within the shadow, the gem within the shadow. When you're filled with emotion, sit quietly and invite your higher power to help you with your feelings and with your thoughts and your beliefs. It's the last thing we're often able to do when we're in a crisis. So sometimes it takes time to get to that point. But as we get to that point, we are in what I call a state of grace. And we'll kind of talk about that in a second. So once you are quiet and calm as you can be, you can invite your emotions to sit across from the table, this imaginary table that I talk about sometimes, and invite your emotions to talk things over with you. So you're not your emotions are sitting in front of you, and ask your emotion who they really are and what they're really trying to tell you. And you and your soul can sort it out from there. So you're not squelching your emotions, you're listening to them, but you and your soul, as you gain access to your soul through being neutral, through quiet, and through meditation, you can get a tremendous amount of information from your emotions as they reveal to you who you are or where you need shoring up or where you need growth and development. Your soul can guide you to choose the best path forward. Your emotions don't always show you the best path forward. They kind of show you where you've lost it or where you failed, or they kind of tell you lies about yourself that make you feel kind of crummy about yourself, but your soul would never do that. Your soul doesn't do that. Your soul wants you to move forward. Your soul wants you to excel and do well. But where you excel and where your well-being is, isn't in the place where you thought it was. It isn't in the place where you're standing in this moment. You need to move forward to find that place. So becoming less reactive and more aware of yourself is the key to living a soul-led and fulfilled life. And the key to coming out of a dark night of the soul or a soul crisis is to become more aware of yourself and your soul's language so that you can begin to lead a soul-filled life. And that takes time. I mean, that's the you've come to the end of the road, but you need to still go forward, but there's no more road. So it is your soul that helps you create that road. And that takes time to wrap your head around it, to wrap your emotions around it, and to accept that this is where you need to go. So having said these general statements, let's go back and talk about your soul. Your soul always knows what to do, but what is your soul? Who is your soul? Your soul is the eternal part of yourself. Your soul is your direct connection to the source, the God, the source, the energy of God is what I call the Akashic realm of the Akashic energy. This is God's love. Your soul is your higher consciousness. Your soul created you and your spirit. Let's talk about that a minute. So here's the story of creation, or God. There was source energy, an awareness full of love and full of desire and kind of lonely. So God created souls so that God could experience itself in another being, in another intelligence. So the soul she gave the soul intelligence and love and thoughts and desires and creativity. So as the soul began to experience God, the source, and began to experience itself, and there were more than many little souls all around, the soul desired to do this, had the same desire that God, the source had, and it desired to experience itself through creativity and creation. So eventually the soul began to create spirits that could go into living forms, humans, animals, wherever you go, but we're in the human realm. And so our souls created our spirits, our essence, who we are. And this is an organizational principle that it makes the most sense to me. And as humans, with spirits inside, we're spirits having a human experience, we also experience the desire to create, to live, to learn, and to grow and develop. When we're at our best, we're living, growing, creating, and wanting to experience ourselves through our creativity, through our children, or if we don't have children, through our work or through our imagination. So, so there we are, having dreams while our spirit has dreams, while our soul has dreams, and our soul embedded within us a desire to have certain experiences. And as it embedded this desire to have certain experiences, our soul came in relationship with us. Our soul needs us and wants us and desires us for us to go forward and to do well. But we have this free will to decide what that is. So we need to be in relationship to our soul so that we can know where our gifts are, where going home, what going home means to us, who's connected to us from that higher power. And there's a loving, caring, give and take relationship when we are aware of it. And when we're not aware of it, we're just going on our way, having a hard time, or having a great time, or just having whatever time we create until we hit a block, until we hit the road stops here, and we must re-engage with our soul and re-engage with the relationship with our soul. Our soul created our personality and placed our gifts within us. So they're scattered all throughout, through our unconscious self, through our conscious self, in our physical body. We have many gifts hidden, um, and that are, some are developed, some are underdeveloped. And your soul has a dream and a desire for you. Our soul is intelligent, loving, and caring, and our soul is always with us, whether we are aware of it or not. We go back to that idea of we can live our lives without being aware of our soul, and not having a relationship with our soul, or we can choose, and sometimes it's these soul crises where our soul is calling us back, calling our awareness and our spirit back to itself. Remember me, remember the relationship that we started out with before you were born. How do you know your soul? This is a level of consciousness that is difficult to discern. It's difficult to hear. Your soul has a different language. Your soul has a different ability or way of communicating with you. You connect to this soul center through your intuition and through inspiration and through creativity. So let's talk about entering your soul through creativity. If you've ever been in a creative space, whether it's cooking or doing art or thinking or going for a walk or anything that is a little bit outside of yourself, where you're using your gifts to just to create something different or something new, you're feeling your soul. You're feeling the gifts within yourself, and everybody has their own way of being creative and their own way of expressing life in a really creative way. It can be through the sciences, it can be through the arts, it can be through the thoughts, it can be through being a parent, it can be through just living life in a very unique way, despite where you have your limitations. Sometimes people use their life as a painter's palette, and you only have this, you only have that, you only have that. But as you come into that sense of yourself, these small things that you have where you thought, I only have this, you learn how to make something different from them than what's in front of you. And that's creativity. And you can really come into your soul's essence by doing that work. And the other way is through your intuition. And our intuition and creativity are often hand in hand without us realizing it. But if you are choosing to develop your intuition and understand how your intuition is working and serving you, we can talk about the different aspects of the intuition. First, you have your physical intuition, that when your body speaks to you, that gut feeling or those goosebumps, or that sense of, I'm in the flow now, I really got this. And it's a physical feeling. And when you're not in the flow, you can feel your body not in the flow. Maybe it becomes a little heavy, or maybe it just doesn't move forward as well as it did yesterday when you were feeling a bit more inspired. And so that's a language that your soul reaches out to, actually through your physical body. There are other uses of intuition. It could be through clairvoyance, or your ability to envision something beyond what's in front of you. And that's one of the in the sciences where people will say the best thing about sentient beings is their ability to envision beyond what is in front of them, to have theoretical thoughts, or thoughts they in their minds can create what is not there. And then from that thought, they can create something that wasn't there before. And that's one of the gifts of a soul. And so clairvoyance is partly envisioning through a higher thought. And it's also, clairvoyance is also having visions from spirit, straight from spirit, where you have visions, or you have something will occur to you, or you'll see something that wasn't there before. It can come in through dreams, and it can come in through daydreams. Is a wonderful way to use your clairvoyance, or to have a daydream is to kind of, you're thinking about something, and what if I did this, and what if I went there, and all of a sudden you are, or not maybe all of a sudden, but you move along into the fact that as you see something happening, it doesn't feel right to you. So in your imagination, you turn it around and you try something else, and that feels better. But no matter what you do, you can't make it turn out to this other thing. And that's when your clairvoyance and your envisioning starts to blend with your soul. So that's a beautiful language. It's a beautiful way for your soul to connect you. And then there's clairaudience, when you're listening to something and it doesn't sound quite right, or you hear a word or you hear something that does sound right, and you feel like I can go with that. And then we have gusting or clairalience, where you can kind of, that doesn't smell right. Something's stinky in here, or this doesn't taste right. This left a sour taste in my mouth and all. And these intuitive things can talk to us about where we are in our life and where we're going forward, and what our soul would have to say about different situations and choices. And there's clear cognizance, where you just know something is true, and you don't know how you know it. You haven't read the book yet, but the knowledge and the wisdom comes up and you feel very solid with it. And then there's clairsentient, like we talked about, the body language and the feelings within your body, but also it feeling in your emotional center, or your psychological center, or this wasn't quite right for me. It doesn't feel right, or this feels great for me. So all of these clairs speak to intuition, something that you can pay attention to develop. And when you're in this dark night of the soul and you can't do anything anyway, and you're sad about this and mad about this, you can begin to lean into your intuitions to see, well, what really is here? What is really talking to me? And couching it in negative terms continuously isn't really going to break the intuition free. But playing the what if game, in a sense of, I'm going to set aside this feeling of disappointment, and I'm going to move forward of what else could be here. What else am I feeling? What else am I sensing? And where could a way to a new level of thinking, or a new place in my life of experiencing my life, what could that be? And you can use, gently coming into a neutral place, use your intuition to find what else is here. What else is here? Creative endeavors can open you up to your highest consciousness. So sometimes this picking up a new skill where you're bringing colors and movement to it. I so many times I know people who will pick up crochet because they can't quite figure out their world, and they've got these beautiful yarns around them, and they're just kind of crocheting. I've seen many people crochet these amazing toys or these amazing sculptures, as well as hats and scarves. So it's a creative endeavor where you're outside of yourself. You're not in a closed cycle of thinking about this and then thinking about it again and then thinking about it again. You're distracting yourself. So sometimes picking up a paintbrush, and sometimes just painting your house, or going deeper into drawing or sketching, whatever, or playing tennis or playing pickleball. These are all creative endeavors that will help take you out of the closed thinking and distract you into something creative. And then you can begin to see what else there is in life, what else your soul has to offer you. Another thing that can drive you to needing to talk to your soul, there's this feeling of, wait, there's got to be more. It's that search, when you restlessness. I don't like what's happening. I know there's more to this. I wish I could grab a hold of something, but I'm so unhappy and dissatisfied. That dissatisfaction can actually lead you to your higher consciousness and lead you to a deeper relationship with your soul. Don't forget your angels, your guardian angels, your spirit guides. They're all helping you find your soul or find your path. Somebody asked me, what is the difference between talking to your soul and talking to your guardian angel? That was just an amazing question. Communicating with your soul is about having a relationship back and forth, as your soul is really invested in growing and learning with you as you have your human experience, and is really wants to have a loving, caring relationship with your essence and with your physical self. And a guide, an angel, guardian angel, spirit guide, loved ones also love us and want to guide us and help us and bring us to the highest source, but they don't have that investment in our experience. They're learning from us, but not the way our soul is learning us from us. Our soul wants to really integrate with us and have that one-to-one, because our soul is learning from us, and we certainly have the right, or we have the ability to say to our soul, what's going on here? I don't like this experience. I don't understand this experience. And our soul grows and learns with us. And certainly the guides and the angels will also grow with us, but their growth and learning is at a different experience. I hope you understand what I'm saying, because working with your guides, working with your angels is so, so very important. And working with your soul, this higher essence of yourself, is just as important, and will bring you home to yourself. And when you bring yourself home to yourself, your physical self, unconscious self, with your aware self, your spirit, your essence, and your soul, that's when the energy of home, which brings the thought of this is normal, you normalize that language, or you normalize that life with your soul in a way that the new normal comes in. But it's not a normal that you have to make it stayed, or make it doesn't grow or develop, because we have to stay normal. Instead, it's constantly moving and developing, and you can be inspired from it instead of scared from it. And you have this strength. You build relationships with your soul as you work on them. The way that I'm talking about working on them creates a whole new foundation underneath you. It's a whole new sense of home, a whole new sense of living, and it's very exciting. And it's solid. It's not gonna crumble. As you stay on your soul's path, as you stay in relationship with your soul, using your gifts, you get stronger and stronger, calmer and calmer, and your life blossoms like a flower. Faith and hope can lead you to the center of your soul's consciousness. Your soul's higher consciousness vibrates. This is the faith part, vibrates to I am that I am. I am the God consciousness. And as I experience the source and the energy of what I am, this is where I am. And the vibration is about a state of being that is connected to all consciousness, the one mind. So that's the faith part. And as you experience that one mind through your relationship with your soul, you're less likely to be driven by the mundane, and feel that that's all that there is. Where you can work with the mundane more as a palette of like an artist, like a paint palette. You'll see these resources and gifts that are there for you, but not as something that's going to keep you in this box, as opposed to the whole world is my oyster, and I can, as I am creative and I'm in the moment, the same way that my soul is in that one mind and connection, I too, my spirit, my essence, along with the container of my body, can move forward to that state of being. And your soul will lead you to that. And that's a very high level of self awareness. It's attainable. I don't mean high level like, oh, it's a mountain, I can't get there. But it's also a high level of state of being, is high level of creativity. And when we can allow ourselves to be in that place, our creativity grows and develops in leaps and bounds. The soul is the part of your life that goes beyond your life as you're living it, and it connects you to the larger universe. So that's where the hope comes in. It's not, I hope this works out. I hope this stays the same. I hope this grows in the way that I see it. More like, I am in a process of growing and learning, and I'm connecting myself to a bigger power or at a bigger source of flow of energy that will inspire me or give me resources that I never dreamed I could have. So we're not hoping for something to be the same, or we're aligned with that faith that there's something larger, and the hope that I am going to be part of it. I am part of it, and I am growing with it. And there's something more that is wonderful, that is powerful and good, but it's more than I have my head wrapped around right now. A lot of times we talk about the ego, the fears, the anxiety, and I talked a little bit about how our desire to be normal doesn't allow us to grow. It doesn't allow us to go beyond what we have in our back pocket. And that is our unconscious self. That's the part of ourself that holds our spirit. That's the part of ourself that knows what to do, and knows how to stay alive, and knows how to socialize, and knows how to get all the things in life that it's aware of at that point. But it's a limited awareness, and it doesn't always, the unconscious self, the ego self doesn't always promote growth and learning. It mostly promotes stay safe. You know what to do this. Don't go out of your zone. But what we forget is that we don't want to overcome our ego, because we want to have a better experience. What we want to do is see our ego as being a container that our soul grows from, that our spirit thrives from and connects to the soul. And our aware self is the one that keeps the ego, as opposed to having it in a conflict, keeps the ego open and nourishes and holds the foundation for our spirit and our soul to grow, to a higher experience of ourselves. And that's where again I want to talk about those three levels of your unconscious self, your aware self that contains your spirit and your heart that connects to your soul. And that's kind of the design that we have in our lives. So you're going to need patience to learn to be receptive and to learn to understand and recognize when your soul is at work and when you're blocking your soul. Your soul is a soft, loving presence, and your soul speaks to us through symbols and extra sensitivities and sensitive senses, and it speaks to us from a whole language that's outside of the normal. So that's why sometimes when we have a soul crisis and we're all the normal is now kicked out of our life, is our soul saying, okay, it's time to get to work here. And our soul doesn't support normal. The soul supports the flow of love and inspiration. So even though we may be kicked out of the normal, there is this tremendous amount of love and inspiration that comes if you can calm down enough and bring yourself back to neutral. And that's the state of grace I'm talking about. And as you bring yourself back to neutral so that you could hear what your soul's saying, the state of grace is that the universe is holding you, that God is holding you, that your soul is holding you, even though it feels like many things have fallen apart, just like that Tower of Babel. So stay focused on the flow within you, and then you are focused and aligned with your soul. And you'll know it. You'll know it when that dark time comes and nothing's happening, and you wake up and you say, oh, but you're still breathing and the sun's still coming up. Say, where's the spark? Where's the spark? And just be quiet and patient with yourself until you find that spark. We've talked about that in a couple of other episodes, that spark within you, that seed that never dies. And then you will sense a click into place when you flow with your soul. And you'll click into place, and if it's only 5 minutes, and then later on you'll click into place, and maybe it's 10 minutes, and then later you'll click into place, and then you can hold it 5 and 10 minutes on a regular basis, and then eventually you'll click into place, and that the gift from those 5 and 10 minutes will give you an idea or a creative thought, or it will release some anxiety. To build a relationship with your soul, I kind of broke it down into 5 languages of your soul. And I'm sure that you could break it down in your own way, but the 5 languages of the soul that I've broken it down to is when you find yourself in time of trouble, your soul knows where to do. And when you are in transition in your life, it's usually a redirect from your soul. So how can you switch from unconscious control based in your insecurities and then to become divinely inspired? I'll say that again. How can you switch from the unconscious control that are based in insecurities and switch to becoming divinely inspired? It's a process. It takes time, takes patience. When you are not sure how to interpret what is happening to you, when you don't know how to make sense of it, nor what to do, what your next action steps are, look to your soul. Be quiet within yourself until you can hear your soul or feel your soul. Do you have an intuitive or medium in your life that can hear and get soul answers for you? Maybe that could help you. And if you don't know how to do that within yourself, let somebody help you. Let somebody walk you through it. Somebody who's been through it, who knows how to listen to their soul, who knows how to talk to spirit, and maybe they can give you some tips, some tools, and kind of gently move you forward. You still have to click. You still have to click into that soul understanding on your own for yourself. But it's always great to have helpers that can show you the ropes a little bit until you find your own ropes. A spiritual advisor can help facilitate a deeper soul understanding in your life, and then you will need to do your work. So this is oftentimes not something that we can do alone, even though we do need to do it alone. If we get a little bit of guidance. But are you willing to learn and recognize and listen to your soul is probably the biggest question you have to ask yourself in order to begin to hear the five languages to reach that your soul speaks of, in order to hear and reach the soul's wisdom. Sometimes we have these spiritual advisors, or we have mediums or psychics that help us and talk to us and tell us great amounts of wisdom, but we don't know what to do with it, or we don't know how to go forward, or it's not quite on par for it. It's not quite getting that click within us to click into our souls. We're looking for validations, we're looking for outside answers. And sometimes we just need to go within and learn to trust our own abilities for interpreting the information for ourselves. So when you're looking for somebody to tell you what's going on, maybe you want to look for somebody who can help you learn about what's going on. So here's 5 ways that you can connect, your soul tries to connect with you. And the first soul language comes from your inner voice. And as you feel your feelings, realize, like we said before, they aren't who you are. They are messengers trying to give you a heads up. And when you listen to the message of your feelings and emotions, rather than react and live by them, you will begin to create a new perspective and build a new perspective, and you will become aware of your sovereign self, your essence. So when you reconnect to your aware self, you will hear your inner voice, which is an echo of your soul. You will hear the second language through quietly connecting. So the second language of your soul is through prayer. And prayer is the question to the soul, and meditation is the space you create to receive the answer to your prayer. Create sacred space that you, your spirit, and your soul and source can connect and thrive in. And make time to sit quietly with the intent to calmly allow this connection to happen. The third language is awareness of a deep wisdom through taking action. When you meet and connect with your soul, you will become aware of information from a higher source, and you'll also realize you have a spiritual team around you. And by now, you will have a intuitive information coming through. And to have that grow deeper and make sense, you need to take action on the intuitive knowing and learn through experience. And the guidance that arises for you is always loving and positive and caring, and but tough and firm as well. But it's not a saboteur. These actions can be new thoughts and ideas that are in line with a higher power. And when you follow up in these thoughts, in other words, listen to the guidance and act on it, baby steps, you will experience what your soul is telling you. So the third language of the soul is learning by doing. The fourth language is a response. When you choose to stay in the presence of your soul, you fuel yourself with divine grace of the Creator, the source energy of love, inspiration, and creation. Stay focused on the gentle guidance you are receiving. Stay focused, no matter what the circumstances. And each time you choose to listen, focus, and act on your guidance, your capacity to receive more from your soul grows. We all have the potential to connect to this higher power, to live a more elevated life. We all have the capacity to develop each one of these gifts and talents that were embedded in us. But in order to reach those potentials, we need to grow the capacity within us, which is an exercise, which is about taking action and about choosing to stay present with your soul's energy, to choose to stay present with divine grace that is leading you forward. And each time we choose to stay in that presence and fuel ourselves with divine grace, our capacity grows incrementally, little bit by little bit, baby steps, until finally we realize that we're able to do much more than we ever thought we could do in terms of taking action on grace-led inspiration. So the fourth language is about building your capacity in relationship to receiving from your soul as you grow and learn. And so the fifth language is about being aware of your inner team, your unconscious team. It's ideas and creativity from integrating life experiences from your unconscious self with your soul. So you become aware of your unconscious self, and you allow them to talk to your soul, and you allow your soul to influence your unconscious self, your unconscious inner team, your protectors, your scaredy cats, your saboteurs, your inner children, and your inner creators that are kind of limited, and so much more. And these are parts of yourself that have been running your show, running your life. They have the keys to the car, and they are all layers of yourself that have developed through your life's experience, even some left over from past lives at times. Your soul's plan is embedded in your lower three chakras as well as in your higher essence. I keep saying your soul is your higher consciousness, and I bet you're thinking I'm going up, going up. But your soul is also embedded in the gifts and the talents it gave to your unconscious self. So as your soul and your unconscious self begin to integrate with each other, the gifts, they just kind of bloom and come forward. And your unconscious self begins to meet the vibration of your soul. And that's when power happens. Let your soul know how you are feeling. Be honest with your soul. Reveal who you really are. Reveal your fears. Reveal your doubts. Reveal your anger. Reveal all your crazy ideas about life, how life should be, so that you can have your soul weigh in. You could have your soul influence you. You could have your soul work with what you're working with. This isn't about clearing the fields and starting from scratch as if nothing ever happened in your life. This is about integrating your beliefs and your understandings about life with your soul, so that your soul can learn from it, and then you can learn from your soul and be inspired from your soul. Allow your beliefs and emotions like fear to be influenced and transformed by your soul and your higher power. A tremendous amount of creativity will show up when your soul and your emotions integrate. And that, again, it takes time. It's a little scary to do that because we all know how to fix our boo-boos. We all know how to take care of ourselves, especially when after you're 50 years old, you got it nailed. And then you realize you have nothing nailed because you forgot to include your soul in the whole thing. And then your soul says, hey, we're going to start working together. So you begin the process of integration, and then all bets are off. And then nothing in your life looks the way you thought it looked. Nothing is the way it should have been. And there you can be full of disappointments and anger and frustration unless you step back into that state of grace and say, you know what? Now we're going to cook with gas. And now we're going to be the painters and the artists of our lives as we integrate all the tools that we have built up in our unconscious self and our expectations. And now we can lay it out like an artist, and our soul can help us start to paint our lives in a beautiful, creative way. And these are the steps to take when you're in that dark night of the soul, when you don't know where you're going and you keep repeating that pain over and over again. And the way through that dark night of the soul is with your soul. And I think they call it a dark night of the soul is because we can't feel our soul. We can't connect with our soul. And we're being made aware of how much of our lives have been living without that connection to our higher power, our higher wisdom self. And that has been a problem for a very long time. And now it's time to reconcile that. It's time to kind of fix that, not to throw away who we are, but to integrate this great power that we have that's ours within ourselves. What your soul is not. Your soul is creative energy. Your soul is not an ego construct. Your ego construct is meant to hold your soul, not lead it. You can learn to value receiving this creative flow and interpreting it into your life. You can learn to discern between your ego and your soul, and you can learn to partner with your soul and your ego in a very different way that allows more creativity and productivity in your life. If your ego is leading, then you're going to hear all the criticisms and all the limitations and all the mistakes that you've ever made. When your soul is leading your life, you're being inspired, you're encouraged, you have the strength to let go of what's not working and take on what is working, even though you don't quite recognize it or know what to do with it. You have the courage to stay the course. That's what your soul is. And what your ego is telling you, stay home, don't leave, and you'll be okay. And your ego won't necessarily encourage you to grow and learn. So sometimes when we're in these life crises or dark night of the soul, we need to rest. We need to take it easy, and then slowly rebuild that connection, or build a connection if you've never built it before, and then take baby steps out in directions you've never taken before. Whether you're deep in grief, whether the losses are just insurmountable, or you just can't connect to life anymore, these are the steps that you can take. And if you need a coach, if you need somebody to work with, please choose somebody. This is part of the work that I do, is the mentorship, or choose other inspired led people to talk to you and reveal to you some steps that you could take that you never thought of before. That's kind of what spiritual practice is for, and that's what spiritual practitioners and healers are designed to do, is help us through these things. But bottom line is, you're the only one that can finish this up. You're the only one that can sit in that divine grace, and you're the only one that can step on that new pathway for yourself. Nobody else can force you to do it. Nobody else can do it for you, but they certainly can help. So I really had fun talking to you about this today. I'm taking a quick look at Facebook Live. Gail and Michael and Mary are there. If you have any questions, certainly let me know. I'm glad to see everybody has come on board. So I think that I have to say, this is one of my favorite topics, is your soul's language. And there's so much depth in here, and there's so much hope in this work. And this work does not support a dead end life. This work does not support you've done everything you can. There's nothing else to do. This pathway takes you all the way till you're ready to transition to the other side, to heaven. And I have to say that when we choose to do this work, the transition to heaven is a transition. It's not an ending or a beginning. Everything that we do in this life along the lines of this work goes with us and enhances the next stages of our spiritual development and our spiritual journey. So this work is timeless, it's eternal, and it's worth starting it right now today. And I really want to encourage you and give you I guess a push to step into these new ideas. And you can always contact me, angelscapes.net, and set up a 15-minute consult where I can talk to you personally a little bit more about what this work is and how it can help you and how I can help you do this work. And you can grab a hold of a book, A Divine Love Affair, an Akashic Journey. I think the cover is right behind me, and read through there, and all this information will be there as well, and in its own, in a different form, but pretty much it's there. And so be in contact with me, read my website, read my material, my book, listen to the other podcasts. It all leads you to the same place of how to live a soul-powered life that's it's creative, that's satisfying, that's fulfilling, and it takes you through the rest of your life into the next beautiful transition when you're ready to go. So I give you many blessings and much encouragement. And until next time, use your resources that are showing up for you all around you, and have faith and hope in your life. See you guys later.
Thank you for joining the Angelscapes podcast. We hope you've gained new insights and inspiration for your journey to uncover and access your soul's power. For more information and a deeper dive into finding clarity in your life, go to angelscapes.com. Remember to subscribe so you can be part of the discussion. It may just change your life. See you next time.